of YouTube. Don't you dare be sour. Clap for good mic work commentaries and feel the pow. Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you, the people of YouTube. And if you're looking for the very best wrestling content, you better come to Good Mic Work Commentaries. Yeah, you better watch this channel. You better watch all the videos. You better watch every single one right here at Good Mic Work Commentaries. Do it. Do it now.
Greetings and good evening once again, everyone. Happy Monday to one and all. Welcome to your WWE Monday Night Raw review for July 13th, 2020. And I got to tell you, at the beginning of the day, I was optimistic. I was optimistic that I was going to come up here and talk about a really good show. Because I thought, on paper, the Raw that they had advertised tonight did not look that horrible. And there was a couple of interesting matches. We got a title match. We knew we were going to have a solid main event. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, we got a chance to have a semi-decent Raw tonight, but Raw just went off the air, and I thought the main event did hold up as a pretty good, closing match, but the show was, it was no piece of cake. It was no piece of cake unless it was a shit cake, like a shit cake with diarrhea frosting and fart ice cream. I think that's about how we would describe Raw tonight. I thought it could have been better. I don't know. I'm going to ask you guys and judge your opinions based on the last couple of weeks where you think this Raw ranks in like the last 3 or 4 weeks of Raw. But, I think in my heart I was expecting more. We didn't get it, and I'm slightly bummed. But we're here to talk about what we've got. Like I said, title match in the main event. It was a go-home show for Extreme Rules, the horror show, which is this coming Sunday. And I don't know. Just thought that they would do maybe a little bit better job of building it than they did, but whatevs. We're here. We're here to talk about it as usual on Monday nights. Good show or bad show, we're always going to be here kicking back and discussing it. So I hope you guys are doing all right. Thank you to everybody that's been waiting so far in the chat for me. I'll make sure I knock out these super chats right off the bat. And I appreciate the support already. That's cool. Pretty good audience in here. Hopefully we'll at least have a decent amount of people in here talking about the show because Extreme Rules is coming up in less than a week, and I've been one of the few people that have actually been not so, I guess not so negative about this show. On paper, much like tonight's Raw, I think Extreme Rules doesn't look too horrible, and even with some of the weaker matches, I think they offer some promise, and we have probably 3 kind of different type of matches that they're going to give us in terms of cinematic or edited, or possibly in the eye for an eye match, some CGI type of stuff. And I think maybe it'll surprise us. Even the very, very predictable title match. A lot of us have been complaining about Dolph Ziggler getting the title shot. Like, Jesus, is he really going to take the belt off of Drew after he beat Brock Lesnar? Of course not. But the fact that they're holding out on the stipulation and having Dolph reveal this at Extreme Rules, I think at least adds a little bit something more to the match. So, overall, as bad as the TV has been, for a throwaway pay-per-view, I'm not hating Extreme Rules on paper, but that remains to be seen how good the show is. But speaking of Extreme Rules, I made the announcement yesterday on Twitter. Since Extreme Rules has got some goofy matches on the card, and since I think there might be a lot of fun and different type of stuff on this pay-per-view, I'm going to live react to it. So make sure you join me this coming Sunday, not for the kickoff, but when the main card goes on the air on the WWE Network. I'll be up here on YouTube, and we'll live react to the whole show and probably hang out for a little bit after the fact and do a short review on it as well. So we're going to pull an old review out of the hat for this week and see if we can have some fun on this Sunday, on this pay-per-view Sunday, and make the best of Extreme Rules. So anyway, that's the plan for Sunday, and in just a couple of days on Thursday, I'm going to be up here with another live stream discussing some territory wrestling, and we'll get into a little bit more of that as we go through here. But first of all, just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Devlin Husband, good to see you in here. You popped in with a $5 super chat right off the bat. Want to make sure I acknowledge that. slightly wrecked my Island beater car today, so now I'm in the process of hopefully buying a new Honda Civic by the end of the month. Oh, man. Well, I guess you're okay if you're here chatting and commenting and stuff, so glad that you're okay, and that's a bummer about the car, but if it puts you inside of a new Civic, that is pretty sweet because I am loving mine. Had mine for a couple of weeks now, and it's the best, and they're awesome cars. So, yeah, good luck to you, Devlin. Sorry to hear that, too, and happy you're here. Joey G, welcome back, man. Good to see you as well. Appreciate the $5. When Edge comes back, he can use the fact that he technically never lost the world title to gain a world title match against Drew. That could be fun. It could be fun. I mean, he could do that. I mean, I also think that even if he didn't retire as the champion, there's just enough on his Hall of Fame resume that he could probably be given a title shot anyway. But it would be interesting if he tries to use that, 10 years nearly after the fact. And especially if we see Edge, during his 3-year comeback or however long he's going to be in the ring for, if he does a heel turn and if he goes back to being a heel at some point, maybe does both, he's a babyface and heel. I'm curious what he wants to do and what WWE wants to do with him, or if they're going to play it by ear. But I'd be into that. Edge getting a title shot regardless of how he gets it, I'm kind of in favor for. I'm always down for the nostalgia runs, as long as they don't interfere or damage anybody or anything like that, I really don't mind. I liked it when The Rock came back and won the title. Hell, I liked it when Backlund came back, sort of, and won the title in 1994, even though he beat Bret. Even Hogan's 02 run that was like 30 days long had its moments of emotion and stuff, so I'm usually not against that type of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for Edge. George Morris, good to see you as well. Appreciate the $2. How is it going? Sunny arrested again? Saw that. Not surprised. Not surprised. She spent, I don't know how many months in jail, maybe close to a year even. She's in jail for a long time. Gets released, and we're like, she just does the same thing every time. She violates a restraining order, or she drives drunk, or she drives without a suspended license. With a suspended license. She's had so many DUIs. She cannot drive, and I guess she was pulled over driving. She's not supposed to, and she violated the restraining order again. So I don't know what it's going to take for them to throw away the key. Because at this point, it might be the only thing to save her life. I'm completely lost hope in Sunny. I'd like to come out here and tell her to get her shit together for the 900th time, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen until she wants to get better, and it's a shame, and I hope that she stays there for a long time, because at least she can't get into trouble. At least she can't do drugs, or, she probably still could in jail, but you know what I mean. She's not going to have the freedoms she has in the real world, so I hope they put her away for 10 years. Might be the only thing that's going to keep her alive. Otherwise, it might end badly for her. And George, thank you, man, for $2 more. Raw, 0 out of 10. Wow, you are pretty hard on it. I'm not going to be easy on Raw tonight. I'm not sure if I'm doing 0 out of 10. I might give it a 4, though. Devlin, thanks again, man. For 5 more. Literally only damaged my driver's side mirror. Oh, okay. Duct tape it back up for now until I get my new car. I duct taped a mirror once because I had 2 cars ago. I had like one of those electronical mirrors, and it got knocked off and the wires were hanging out. So when I went to take it to get fixed, it was going to be like $1,500 for the mirror. And I hated the car as it was. So I just wrapped a bunch of tape around it and drove it around like that for, I don't know, 8 or 9 months or something. So sometimes that's what you got to do, man. But good luck on the Civic hunting. I hope that works out. By the way, can you guys smash that thumbs up for me, those of you that are here now? And we'll start rolling in with these Raw results. Now, like I said, they had advertised 4 matches, I think. They had the tag title match, which we knew would be the main event. They had R-Truth and Randy Orton scheduled. The tag match with Street Profits and Viking Raiders. Viking Raiders and Andrade and Garza, And we had Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins in a WrestleMania rematch. So on paper, none of that looked too horrible, you know what I mean? But it didn't really deliver in my mind, until really the main event. Some of the Seth Rollins stuff did too. But the show opened up. They recapped last week with Heath Slater, and Drew McIntyre. Does look like Heath Slater will not be coming back, and he's probably off to do other things now, but it was really cool to see him. They're recapping the whole deal with Dolph and Drew and that whole thing, and the show opens up with the MVP Lounge. He's out there with Dolph Ziggler, and MVP is complimenting Ziggler on holding off, revealing what the stipulation is going to be. He goes, that's smart. That's what I would do. Why reveal it to the world, when you can give yourself the advantage by not allowing Drew McIntyre any time to prepare for this thing. So even though the match is pretty much predictable, because I don't think any of us are expecting Dolph to take the title, at least this adds something like, I wonder what it's going to be. Now, when this was first announced, when Drew first said, hey, Dolph, I'm so confident I'll whoop your ass, you can pick the stip. I don't even care. And I was like, well, logically, wouldn't Ziggler just say, I want this to be a 10-on-1 match, me and 9 of my friends versus you, and no matter who pins you, I win the belt? Like, what's stopping him from doing that? Is there a WWE rule that says you can't make a match like that? So if you're allowed to pick any stipulation at all, why can't it just be a 10-on-1 handicap match? You know what I mean? So Ziggler, is in the position where he's looking smart right now, but he could wind up looking really stupid if they get to Extreme Rules and he chooses a stipulation that does not benefit him as much as it could. Like if he just picks a regular old cage match or something, like what's the point of that? You should do something that's going to heavily tilt the scales in your favor, so McIntyre has to fight back against all those odds and beat you and get the Roman Reigns type of victory. You know what I mean? So we'll see. You guys place your bets. What kind of a stip do you think Ziggler is going to give us? Is it going to be an in-ring match? With these two guys, I think that they'll do just fine in the ring. I don't think you need to add anything too special here. But I suppose, since the stip has not been announced yet, that they could go in a cinematic direction with this match. I just don't think that they will, since they've already got a lot already lined up here. So I don't know. What do you guys think Dolph is going to pick? Is it going to be a stip that we're used to, that we've seen before, or is it going to be something way out of left field like the Duchess of Queensberry match or whatever back in the day with Jericho and William Regal? Let me know. But as Dolph is out there with MVP, he goes on to take credit for all of Drew's success. Because of me, he beat Brock Lesnar. Because of me, he's the champion. Without me, he is sitting on his ass unemployed. McIntyre has enough of that. He comes out and tells Dolph that he just uses people. He goes, you used me. I was your hired gun. I was your muscle. I was your enforcer. You had no love for me. You weren't my friend. You just used me like you used Mandy, and you've used everybody else in your life. And he goes on to say that, which I like, because sometimes you didn't get some of this out of Roman. Reigns would act tough, and he'd say, I'm going to kick your ass and everything. But McIntyre basically just says, I'm going to hurt you real, real bad. And now you've made a mistake. You've pissed me off, and I'm not going to rest until you are carried out of there. And Ziggler did look a little bit spooked by that. And then later on in the show, McIntyre's getting interviewed backstage in the Performance Center. He's jumped by Ziggler, and they kind of brawl to further the deal. So that's really all we got out of those guys on this show. They were in the opening segment and a brawl later. That's it. And McIntyre and Drew this Sunday. Pillow fight. All right. I like it. Other than the pillow fight, that's all I'm seeing on the match ideas for Ziggler and McIntyre. And I'll tell you what, man, we're going to talk about that later on, Zane, but the announcement of Randy Orton versus The Big Show next week for Raw was very good to me. I was very happy to hear that, because I thought for sure we were going to get Randy Orton and Big Show on a pay-per-view in 2020. I'm like, who the hell wants to see that? And we said last week, just do it on Raw. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to do it next week on Raw. Great. Saves us the torture during the pay-per-view. Because on Raw, it might not be that bad. For a Raw segment, for them to do something, that's great. But for that to take up time on a pay-per-view, I wouldn't have wanted to see that. But on a 3-hour Raw that already sucks, it's definitely the better place for that. Yeah, Mystery, that's another possible idea. But again, that's a match that we're used to. The match, or the pay-per-view, is Extreme Rules. I don't even think, do they even have an Extreme Rules match listed or booked for this show yet? I don't think so. So maybe Ziggler could just announce an Extreme Rules match. But again, to hold off on that, McIntyre, if he's a half-smart champion, is going to be going through different possibilities in his own mind. And how can McIntyre not consider that it could be an Extreme Rules match? So I think McIntyre as a champion would be prepared for that if it turns out just to be an Extreme Rules match, because that might be what McIntyre wants anyway. I don't see how that benefits Ziggler unless, like I said, he's got 9 guys coming to back him up. But based on McIntyre's promo, he said he's going to kill Ziggler, and if Ziggler now gives him weapons, that that stip doesn't benefit Ziggler, it benefits Drew. So I don't know. I don't know. That's why it's fun. Hopefully it is fun. Hopefully whatever happens, Ziggler goes down, and he goes down in an entertaining way. That's all I care about. Might as well keep rolling with Drew for a little while. Kennel from Hell match. I'll tell you what, if Ziggler and McIntyre were in a Kennel from Hell match, I think it would be pretty good. I think it would be a lot better than Al and Ray. Inferno match would be fun. Evening gown match would be slightly disturbing. Bra and panties match, I think we're past that. I don't know. We'll see. Let me knock out another super chat from Divine Ricks. Good to see you back. Thank you, man. Appreciate the $5. Hey, Greg, which heel do you prefer, Austin 2001 or Hollywood Rock? Probably Hollywood Rock, because, I mean, Austin was a good heel in 2001, even though the heel turn baffled a lot of us. A lot of people look back on that as a mistake, despite WrestleMania 17 being most people's favorite WrestleMania. Overall, I think a lot of us were surprised at the heel turn, but Austin did a good job transitioning into that. Like, I did not think it was possible for that Texas Rattlesnake character to be a chicken shit heel, but he was. He did it, and he did it well. And, you know, his relationship with Vince McMahon and all the stuff with Kurt Angle and the singing and all of that was very, very, very entertaining. But Hollywood Rock, the fans were ready to boo him. The fans had already turned on him. See, Hollywood Rock, I think, had a reason to be that way because the fans shit on him at SummerSlam. They shit on him at WrestleMania 18 against Hogan. And then a few months later, he's in the ring versus Brock, and the entire building is against him. And when Brock won the title as a heel, the crowd exploded, and The Rock left, and he was off TV for a while, off to do the other movie or the Mummy movie, whatever he did. So, you know, he is then Hollywood. He experiences all of that Hollywood stuff, becomes a conceited, arrogant actor celebrity, remembers the fans turning on him prior to him leaving. He had much more reason, I think, to turn heel than Austin did. Where Austin, even though there was rumblings of a heel turn, it came out of left field. Why, after all these years of hating Vince McMahon, would you shake hands with him? When you've already beaten The Rock, you know, you've already owned The Rock previously in your feuds. It's not like he's been some big hump that you haven't been able to get over. And the only way you can beat someone like The Rock is with Vince's help. You've already spent the last couple of years whipping his ass. So it was just weird, you know, it just didn't come out of nowhere. So even though I think Austin did a great job in the role of a heel, I'm going with Hollywood Rock on that. And I think it just made more sense for the time. Oh, if we get Judy Bagwell involved, I think Judy Bagwell passed away. I think. I could be wrong. But if she is still with us, we could get her involved in that. McIntyre and Ziggler, I'm sure, will make Judy work. That's for sure. What do we have next on Raw? This was interesting because you guys got to help me out here, man. What's going on with the Viking Raiders? Why are they just being, I don't usually use the word buried, but fuck, man, they are being buried, losing every week. And so this was advertised earlier. It was Viking Raiders taking on Andrade and Angel Garza. Elimination tag. So when I see elimination tag, I'm like, okay, this means one of two things. We mentioned this on the Winged Eagle on Saturday, that since it's elimination, you know, with Garza and Andrade, all of their dissension, one guy's going to cause the other to be eliminated, and the other one's going to be pissed, and that's just good. The elimination stip is a way to further this, this wedge being driven between the two and all the problems they've been having for weeks. Or if they win, it's just going to be a total burial of the Viking Raiders, who have been a complete joke ever since leaving the NXT roster, which is a shame. And I don't know. I like Garza and Andrade, but damn, I mean, Eric was eliminated right off the bat, maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the match. He's out. They go to a commercial. They come back. Ivar tries his best to mount a comeback here. Even has Angel Garza pinned at one point, but Andrade, who's on the outside of the ring, grabs his foot, puts it on the rope, stopping the 3 count, and eventually Ivar gets power bombed and pinned. And Garza and Andrade not only win the match, but they remain solid. You know, no dissension. They kind of fist bumped each other after the match. Zelina's got them together, kind of got them on the same page finally, and they wiped the floor with the Viking Raiders. So I'm just bummed. I feel like Viking Raiders are turning into a joke tag team. I mean, why? I just don't understand why tag teams are not taken seriously, especially when they're good. I know the Viking Raiders gimmick is a little goofy, but they felt like ass-kicking machines in Ring of Honor and in NXT. Why does it have to turn into a cartoon once they get to Monday Night Raw? So I don't even know. I feel like they're just ruined, They're like, oh my God, it's so frustrating. Get them out of there too. Send them to AEW. Let's just pile all the great teams in that one promotion, since it's the only promotion that really gives a shit about tag team wrestling anyway. So that's just a shame. I don't know what it means for them now. I'd say turn them heel, but they've already been heel and face a couple times. I don't know what you do with them. What do you do with them? What do you do with the Viking Raiders at this point? Change their name again? I don't know. I did see that, Zane, about Rusev getting COVID-19. That's a shame, but he's a strong guy. He will fight it. He will break it. Rusev will crush COVID. He'll break it in half. Rusev's a stud. Get well, Miro. We love you. K-Dog's Kennel, thank you, man, for the $5. Should Bray win at Extreme Rules in the Swamp Fight, any chance that we see The Fiend come back and take the title from Braun at SummerSlam? I'm guessing that's what they're doing, because I think in this match, I don't really know how either guy comes out with a win here. Bray Wyatt, you would think we're going to get all these different versions of Bray, unless The Fiend is really going to stay away from right now. We might not see The Fiend in the Swamp match, but I think since it's going to be cinematic, that we're likely to see all different faces of Bray. Like the 2013 throwback that we're seeing right now, the Funhouse, and possibly The Fiend. Or maybe you don't see The Fiend at all, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, until after the conclusion. Like if Strowman is able to, if it comes down to him in that 2013 version of Bray, the Bray that brought him into the Wyatt family, and it comes down to be a battle between those two guys, because Strowman has been alluding to their history and their past and how they started and having one last trip down to the swamp. So that seems to be the Bray Wyatt that he's feuding with. So if it remains that Bray Wyatt and he beats him, maybe like after the 3 count or something, or after Braun retains, much like in the final deletion videos, how, Jeff or Matt come out of the Lake of Reincarnation, maybe in the swamp in the distance, you see the Fiend pop up out of the swamp and stare down Strowman, setting up the SummerSlam match for the title, Fiend and Braun Strowman. And maybe you put the title back on the Fiend now. And can you believe we're a year into that gimmick now? Didn't it debut at last year's SummerSlam, I think? Wasn't it Balor and the Fiend or something? Or maybe it debuted before then. But it's been about close to a year now since he won the title, too, at in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know. They might do something like that, but I guess if they're going to take the belt off of Strowman, they wouldn't do it here. They would save it for SummerSlam. So, yeah, that's kind of what I think they're going to do. But give me ideas. I think in a match this crazy, we're likely to see anything. There's no way you can predict something like this. I mean, if the Funhouse match is any indication, none of that stuff. I mean, everything in there just looked like you were on just a crazy mushroom trip, man. So they're likely to do anything here, and I think it's impossible to try to even come up with ideas. But I think if Strowman does retain the title, I think there will be some. I don't think it will be him beating the Fiend in the swamp. I think it'll be him beating one of the other Wyatts in the swamp, and then, maybe a confrontation with the Fiend at the end, I guess. But yeah, y'all throw your ideas at me, because it's gonna be crazy. Yeah, and word is Brock may not wrestle at SummerSlam, and I'm fine with that. No reason to bring him back. I have no reason to see Brock right now. No need to. To me, nothing is the same until fans get back. And if you're really paying this guy by appearance, I know the ratings suck and everything, but even Brock being there, it's pandemic, it's COVID, it just shit sucks. So maybe I'd keep Brock gone till the end of the year. Give us a break from Brock. Every time he's there, he's champion. So just keep him off TV till Rumble time. Hopefully, maybe life is close to normal by then. I doubt it, but maybe. And if it is, bring him back. And if not, then maybe you just got to bring him back. Okay, it looks like we're never going to have fans in the arena again, so we might as well bring him back. But if I'm them, I'm holding them off. A lot of big names out right now. Charlotte, Brock, Roman. Lots of them, man. So, yeah, we'll see. Where'd I leave off in my results? Where are we at? Oh, yeah, finally some good news here. We've been wondering where the hell Bianca Belair is. Apparently she's been working a lot of main event matches for some reason, and word was that WWE had no use for her at the time because she was briefly kind of hanging around the Street Profits for a little while, and they were doing that whole contest with the Viking Raiders, and they didn't really feel like she fit in there. So instead of just booking her in like, oh, I don't know, women's matches like you do with like your women's wrestlers, sometimes Natty has nothing to do, but she's out there wrestling every week, so why can't you at least give Bianca Belair a match? I have no idea. So she's been MIA. She turns back up here when Ruby Riott is being interviewed. She's confronted by the Iconics, who both hold victories over her now over the last couple of weeks. And Bianca Belair shows up in the interview segment to back up Ruby Riott, and they're going to get a tag team match against the Iconics. So finally, Bianca is back, and maybe Ruby Riott can get some revenge now on the Iconics, and they do. And Bianca, was pretty impressive in there. She got the pin. She pinned Billie Kay with her GTS-looking finisher thing that she's got. And finally, Ruby Riott gets a win on TV, even though she didn't do the pinning. She did the winning, and it's going to be it's going to say that in the record book. So what is she, 1-13 now or something like that since her return? Way to go, Ruby. The alliance between them, I'm hoping, is just temporary. I'm hoping that was just a way to get Bianca back on the TV, because I see very little similarities between those two, and I don't think they need to form any sort of a weird team or an alliance just for it not to work in the end and WWE not to follow through with it. I'd much rather see Ruby maybe rekindle her friendship with Liv Morgan and let Bianca do her own thing. I don't know. Hopefully it's not 1 week and we go another 3 months without seeing Bianca Belair. She'll be back on TV having regular matches now like she should have been all along. So welcome back, Bianca. And she's not the only one to return. The other woman wrestler that we've been wondering where the hell she is Shayna Baszler, who we have not seen in months. She made her return in the very next segment. You had R-Truth finding Ricochet and Cedric and Ricochet, or Cedric and Richard, as R-Truth calls him, backstage. He runs into Tozawa as well, and he asks Tozawa to teach him to be a black belt ninja in 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 minutes, and Tozawa says, hell no. Truth gets mad, tells him to go to the ring and meet him there. They get in the ring. It looks like they're about to fight. The ninjas are out there, and then Shayna Baszler shows up out of nowhere. She comes out to the ring, makes quick work of all the ninjas, beats the hell out of all of them. Tozawa runs away, leaving her and R-Truth in the ring. And I thought she was going to beat R-Truth for the 24/7 title, but R-Truth sees himself out and says, you do your thing, Shayna, and see you later. He scoots out of there. And she gets on the mic and says that she's waited long enough and she's back now and whatever. So after hearing all of these reports that Vince didn't get her, Vince is the reason why she's not on TV, because he doesn't understand the MMA style, or he's soured on her, or just changed his mind in general about her push. She's back now, and hopefully, this sets her up. We talked about way back at WrestleMania after she lost to Becky that maybe she could get another shot at SummerSlam. And after Asuka won the title at Money in the Bank, that's the match I thought we were going to get, Asuka and Shayna, which to me would be a headlining match on any pay-per-view, including a SummerSlam. The two most dominant NXT women's champions ever clashing for the title. That's a match right there, but it seemed like there was no way it was going to happen because Shayna's not even around. How the hell are you going to get that match together and put it together in a month's time? Well, she's back now, and Asuka's going to wrap up business with Sasha this Sunday. And I'm predicting Asuka to win. I've been predicting Asuka to retain the title ever since the match was announced. I just don't think they're going to put all the belts on Sasha and Bayley. I think they're just going to have the two of them face each other for the SmackDown belt, let Asuka continue her run, and build her up for a big match of her own, on her own brand, for their title. And now that Shayna is there, maybe that's something that's going to happen. She choked out a bunch of ninjas. Maybe she'll be out on TV every week leading up to SummerSlam, or at least for the next couple of weeks, beating some women, putting them down, then maybe win a number one contenders match and gets the match at SummerSlam. If she's there, how do you not put her in the ring with Asuka? Soon. And the way in WWE, they don't usually wait on shit, so they make things happen pretty fast. And now that she's back, I think that's likely what's going to happen. So we'll talk more about Extreme Rules later. We also had Seth Rollins and Murphy backstage. I felt like they might have planted a seed here maybe for the eye for an eye match. Murphy was expressing concern about the stipulation of the eye for an eye match. And he's like, Seth, are you really going to rip out the eye of Rey Mysterio? And Seth is like, yes, my son, I must do it, or whatever the hell he said. Then he goes out to the ring for a promo. Now, Seth's supposed to take on Kevin Owens later on in the night. And Seth, I think he's much better in this role. I mean, I know this role annoys a lot of people, but to me, this is better than babyface Seth Rollins that was just not connecting at all. I like the beginning of the promo when Seth is kind of pondering to himself what the eye for an eye stipulation actually means and what it entails. And he goes on to be pretty cold-hearted. He's like, Ray, you asked for this. This is the match that you wanted, and I'm going to make sure that after this match that you're never going to look your wife in the eyes again. You'll never see your son again. You'll never see a sunset again. And I guess that means because Ray's already got one bad eye and Seth's going to rip the other one out, so he'll be completely blind. And he says that Extreme Rules will be the end of Rey Mysterio. And, of course, Ray is working without a contract right now. So if this is a way to get Ray off of TV until he resigns or the deal is reworked or when COVID kind of runs its course and WWE feels like offering raises again or whatever the situation is there, that could be what they're doing here. And if Ray loses both of his eyes, yeah, I know we've had some one-legged wrestlers, but if you can't see, I don't think you can wrestle. So he'll be off TV for a while. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Seth is going to have to win here based on what we saw tonight as well. But still going to be interesting how they pull all of this out, or pull all of this off, and pull all of this out, including eyeballs. And there has been rumors of CGI, heavy editing, maybe maybe just some cheap horror movie props, maybe just like a bloody rubber eyeball or something that they can, they edit it right. Maybe they can make it look somewhat real and have blood all over Ray's eye or something like that. Whatever they do, it has the potential to be pretty gory. And Kevin Owens winds up coming out, by the way, while Seth is flapping his gums and comes out to stick up for Ray a little bit. Seth says, I don't need to hear any of this. He calls out Murphy. And Aleister Black then comes out. I think we go to a commercial. We come back. We got Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy for the 900th time this year, which the two of them work well together. But damn, how many times can we see this match? It was good, though. Because like I said, these guys know each other so well. Their matches are just smooth as butter. And the finish was great. Even though it was a DQ, it was a great almost finish. You got Buddy Murphy. He's like standing on the middle rope, like in the center of the ropes. And Aleister just goes up and hits him with just a sweet black mask right to the face. I don't know how he got his foot up that high, and Murphy just tumbles right off the ropes. I mean, he's out cold. Black goes for the pin, but Seth breaks up the 3 count. Ref calls for the bell, disqualification. Ray and Dominic then come out. They kind of surround the ring, and now they're the aggressors. They've kind of got Seth and Murphy cornered a little bit there, and we go to commercial. When we come back, we've got the advertised Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens match. And everybody stayed at ringside for this thing, too. Now, one thing that I was pretty certain about based on the DQ finish of Black and Murphy from the previous match, I'm like, okay, at least with Owens and Seth, I don't think they're going to give us a second disqualification in a row. There's just no way. That would be so disappointing. So the good news about the Owens and Seth stuff is like, okay, we're going to get a finish here. So everybody stays at ringside. A lot of guys got involved, and Ray's out there, Dominic's out there, Murphy's out there. Near the end of the match, Seth Rollins goes for Kevin Owens' eye, kind of like tries to rip his eye out, and Owens can't see. So, Rollins takes advantage of this, poking him in the eye, rendering Owens kind of temporarily blind, but yet Owens somehow manages to hit a blind Stone Cold Stunner on this multi-time former world champion and pins him 1, 2, 3. That kind of surprised me. I was surprised that Seth got beat that way. Even though he's a heel, he's still a damn good wrestler, and he should be able to beat a blind guy. So he got stunned and pinned, and, that kind of adds, more, I think, evidence to the fact that he'll likely beat Mysterio on Sunday, and that's why he dropped the match here to Owens. But I was kind of surprised that it was like that he actually got the upper hand, got the advantage by, poking out Kevin Owens' eye, and he's still able to hit him with a stunner and pin him. So, I don't know. We'll see. But big wins for Owens. We all love Owens, and I'm sure Seth will do something pretty gross to Mysterio at Extreme Rules. We'll see. Still uncomfortable to see Ric Flair. And, he was backstage doing a promo with Big Show. He's trying to manipulate the Big Show a little bit. He's like, Randy Orton, he's a legend killer. You're the Big Show. You're out of the business now. You're retired. You got the show on Netflix. go home, big man. Go home before you get hurt real bad or whatever. And Big Show's like, I love you, and I don't want to see anything bad happen to you, and talked about their history and their past and some shit on the WWE Network or whatever. And Big Show kind of sees through it, and he's like, dude, I know what you're trying to do. I'm not going to rest until I get revenge on Randy Orton or whatever. Randy Orton is then up next for his advertised match against R-Truth. So our friend R-Truth was just all over the show tonight, which was great. And earlier on when he was talking to Cedric and Richard, R-Truth thought his match tonight was with Ric Flair, which was really funny because Ric Flair challenged R-Truth on behalf of Randy Orton. So Truth thinks the match is with Flair, but it's not. It's with Randy Orton instead. Orton comes out there. He RKOs R-Truth in seconds and pins him. Luckily, it is not for the 24/7 title, so Randy Orton is not the new champion. And after the match, Orton has been also claiming to love R-Truth and respect him, and he doesn't want to hurt him, and he's kind of threatening to punt him after the match. And that's when the Big Show comes out to the stage like, no, don't you do that. And Orton's like, I was never going to punt R-Truth. I like R-Truth. I don't give a shit about him. I give a shit about you. You're the one I want. And that's when he challenges him next week on Raw to a non-sanctioned match, much like the Christian match from a couple weeks ago. So the one good thing about that is it's not at Extreme Rules. Thought for sure that match would be tacked onto the card tonight, and they're saving it for Raw instead, which honestly is a much better spot for it. And shit, that'll probably likely main event too. So we'll see next week what goes on there, but I'm sure this might be a way to also write Big Show off of TV. Randy Orton kills his legends. Big Show is a legend. Big Show has been back a little bit here or there. His little miniature comeback here is probably going to be done. Randy Orton will probably dispose of him, kick him in the head, and we might not see Big Show again for quite some time. Or could go in the other direction. We could see Christian return and maybe attack Randy Orton and help Big Show. But if I had to guess here, hopefully it will be bye-bye Big Show. And I like Big Show and everything. It's just we don't need to see him on TV every week. He's a legend. I don't mind seeing him sometimes, but if he's put in some sort of a non-sanctioned match here, how do you not write him off TV based on the momentum of Randy Orton and what he's been doing to people lately? So that's what I think is going to happen there next week. Let's check over here. Oh, guys, you could do me a favor and smash that thumbs up. We got a really low audience for a Monday. We usually do pretty well on Mondays, and I guess not tonight because Raw sucks. Before we finish up Raw, I'll go ahead and knock out a couple of super chats as well. Coming in from Deshaun Robinson. Good to see you, man. Welcome back. Thanks for the $5. Hey, GoodMicWork. Missed Saturday's podcast. Hope all is well, especially with the recent news in California. I'm guessing you mean all of the the closures that they had announced. They just kind of recently reopened stuff, and now they're saying, indoor places like restaurants with indoors and bars and movie theaters, things like that, all have to close. Luckily for me personally, it doesn't affect me yet. My restaurant is outdoors, and I'm fine for right now. But the more cases go up, the more stuff they're going to have to close. So right now, it's all good here in my neighborhood, but you never know. This seems like this never ends. Do you ever just wake up and sometimes forget that it's the pandemic? And then you're like, oh, yeah, we got to go out, we got to wear a mask and everything. It's just, some days I forget it's even here, and then some days I realize that it's just a part of life now. I mean, and whenever like TV shows and soap operas or any sort of TV show that's kind of set in reality or sort of, you know what I mean? I'm curious, like, in the future when it comes to filming those shows, if the COVID is going to be acknowledged like in the universes of the shows and movies. Kind of like cell phones, like how cell phones became such a thing, and now you see them in every movie and every TV show. So are you going to start seeing TV shows with people wearing masks, in their fictional universe? I'm really curious, like, how it's going to affect stuff like that in the future. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Just a mask is going to be a part of our lives now for probably quite a while. And I think we all just need to wear them hardcore and just run this disease right into the ground if we can. But it's easier said than done, especially in this dumb country. Marcus Metcalf, thank you, man, for the $5 as well. Appreciate it. On Raw Talk, Kairi Sane said she's ready for Asuka if she beats Sasha. All right. I'm down with that. I'm surprised. I thought they were going to do that a while back. I thought when the rumors of Kairi Sane were first starting about her leaving the company and maybe going back to Japan, I thought for sure that it would be a deal now that the Kabukis are kind of no longer a thing. Maybe Asuka would stay heel and turn on her, or Kairi would turn on Asuka, setting up a match and Asuka would choke her out and run her out of the company kind of thing. So now if they do it this way, Asuka retains and Kairi wants the title shot, I'd be cool with that. Give me Kairi, Sane, and Asuka. That will be equally as good as Asuka and Shayna. And maybe the in-ring match itself might even be slightly better. But maybe it might just look better on the marquee for Shayna and Asuka. But yeah, Kairi and Asuka, one-on-one for the belt. Sure. If they do a babyface match, I guess that's probably what they'll do. But I'd almost rather see one of them turn heel. I think that would make it more fun. Let's give us a Kairi Sane heel turn. Or a singles heel turn, because she has been heel. But let's do that. I'm down. Where'd we leave off here? What's left here? We only got a couple of matches left to discuss on Raw. Lashley taking on Richard. And he made pretty quick work of Richard, tapping him out to the full Nelson. Cedric, the Entertainer, ran out there to help out as well, and he got killed. And Lashley is remaining pretty strong. And, of course, MVP has got the title shot this Sunday against Apollo Crews for the U.S. title. Apollo is going to retain there. I know it because Lashley and MVP have pretty much kidnapped that belt. They had it all over the show tonight. They had it in the MVP lounge. They had it backstage with Chuck. It was all over the place. So I think Apollo will retain and Lashley will likely beat him for it, I guess, is what's going to happen there. But Lashley's looking pretty strong right now. And that left us with the main event, Sasha and Bayley defending the women's tag team titles against the Kabuki Warriors. I was really looking forward to this match just because it's awesome. I mean, it looks really good, especially with, maybe a year and a half ago, this match, or a year ago, this wouldn't have been as good looking. But now, just with the work that these ladies are doing, especially Sasha and Bayley, who I just love right now, this is going to be fun stuff. And it was really good match. And Sasha and Bayley kind of jumped the Kabuki Warriors before the bell rang to get an upper hand on them. Prior to the match starting, they had to play another one of those video packages of Sasha and Bayley professing their love to each other and all of that. So once the match started, they gave us a really good tag team match, and I was more kind of focused on the outcome here because I thought it was going to be really telling as to the outcome on Sunday. And I just didn't see, with everything going on with Sasha and Bayley right now, I couldn't see them dropping the belts, even to a great team, former champions like the Kabuki Warriors. It felt like the story is with Sasha and Bayley having all these belts right now, and to kind of end that on a go-home pay-per-view show, I just didn't see it happening. So I was curious if we would get a DQ or what was going to happen here, but I expected Sasha and Bayley to come away with the titles, and I wanted them to because I really want Asuka to retain. As much as I like Sasha right now, I just rather see Sasha and Bayley, scrap for that world title and let Asuka keep hers. I don't want to see all the belts over there. So I was almost hoping that Sasha and Bayley would pick up the win here just to reassure me that Asuka will likely retain on Sunday, and that's what wound up happening. There was a near fall, though. Asuka had made a hot tag, I think, to Kairi, or a blind tag to Kairi, and she was able to hit the insane elbow on Bayley there and almost score the win, on Sasha, and almost score the win on her until Bayley helped out and interfered a little bit there, and Sasha was able to eventually lock the bank statement on Kairi Sane, I believe, and tap her out for the win, and Sasha and Bayley retained there, and that's great. So exactly what I wanted to see. Good main event, solid main event. That was really the main match of the whole night that was advertised that I wanted to see, even more so than Owens and Rollins. I just thought this one was going to be really good. I'm glad it main evented, and it was really the only bright spot of the entire show for me, aside from the regular antics of R-Truth and a couple of other things, and that amazing black mask from Alistair onto Surfy Murphy. Maybe one or two things. Overall, though, the show was slightly a letdown, but it was newsworthy. Bianca Belair came back. Shayna Baszler came back. We had a big match set up for next week, so it wasn't it wasn't as phoned in as maybe the previous week, but we're lacking the creative juices right now. You know what I mean? On Monday Night Raw, saw the interview earlier on the news sites the other day. I forgot where Conrad Thompson had done the interview, but he was asked about Bruce Pritchard, and he admitted that Bruce is very stressed out, and he's, it's a very tough job. He's got a lot on his plate. He's now the head writer of 2 shows, and he's trying to keep up that podcast. I don't even know how that's still working out, and he probably is stressed. And I mentioned that when Bischoff and Pritchard were hired, and we did the video about it, and we talked about their hiring, I mentioned that about both guys. I'm like, do either one of these guys want to take on a job like that in the stage that they're in their life, taking on all that responsibility and all that stress and that workload, and you have to work for an absolute maniac like Vince McMahon? When you're the age of Eric and Bruce, that's when you should be on the downswing in life, just starting to relax a little bit. You already busted your hump, for the first 60 years of your life. Chill out. No reason to run yourself into the ground. So I don't know if that's really something that Bruce can sustain. Can he keep this job for 10 years? Can he keep it for 5? Can he keep it for 3 before he goes completely insane? And when you feel like these shows are lacking or they're kind of phoned in, that's probably a big part of it. But it looks like they're just, it's like they're not putting as much effort into the TV right now because I think they have a lot planned for the pay-per-view. So it's like they're focusing all their energy on that. And they just don't have enough energy, I guess, to spread out to focus it on all the shows. So with all the cinematic stuff and the edited matches they have planned for Extreme Rules, I feel like that's the focus right now, and TV is suffering for it. And that's a shame. That company's huge. They should have enough manpower there to be creative on all their shows, but they just don't. They just don't. I know, yeah, Selena, we got to get our numbers up here, man. Sucks. Got to get these numbers up. We'll see. We'll hang out here and chat a little bit about this week. It's going to be a fun week on the channel. Like I said, you've got me 4 days this week. I'm up here right now, and I will be up here this Thursday. The time on that, by the way, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is going to be 6 o'clock here on the West Coast. It'll be 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and we're going to come up here and we're going to talk about territory wrestling. And I'm going to talk about some of the memories I have, some of my favorite matches, some of the more significant moments, all sorts of stuff. We'll talk about Andy Kaufman, all sorts of random crap from the old territory days, and put together a nice little fun casual stream on Thursday night. So that'll be a little bonus. And then on Saturday, I'll be up with the Winged Eagle. We'll talk about NXT and AEW, and we'll predict Extreme Rules. And then on Sunday, this coming Sunday, I'll be live reacting to the entire Extreme Rules pay-per-view because I think it might be fun. I think it might be fun to live react to that, especially with like the Swamp match and definitely the Eye for an Eye match, because I think my reaction just might be fun there, especially if we see an eyeball come out. Could be fun. So yeah, 4 videos this week. And we got a couple more on deck. I got Wrestle War 1992 coming up. We're going to have a big live stream on Roddy Piper and his promos and Piper's Pit coming up in early August. And what else do I have? I got something else on the books too. No, just those 3. Yeah, we got the Territory stream, Wrestle War 92, and Piper's Pit coming up on the agenda in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we got some stuff going down. Make sure you subscribe too if you're not subscribed to me. It's a great place to be, man. What else do we have to talk about here on Raw? You guys let me know if there's anything else specifically you want to discuss. Then we'll start talking about other stuff, talk about any other wrestling news that there is to get into. There's some big news, of course, too, coming out of New Japan. As you guys know, most people know by now. We saw Evil is your new IWGP Intercontinental and Heavyweight Champion, ending poor Naito's run before he even got started. COVID just completely killed that as he won the belts in the beginning of the year. And I think they were just trying to shake things up a bit. It's kind of ironic to watch fans, because I watched a little bit of Dominion, and I was really surprised at some of like the reaction on Twitter. It was not good. It's funny to watch the fans. Normally their complaints about booking is reserved for WWE and stuff, and Japan can very rarely do wrong. And there was a lot of people not happy about it. I almost like just the sheer balls of the move, because it was kind of out of left field, and Naito is so unbelievably beloved, and his run didn't get a chance to really get going or do anything fun, that people just weren't into it. Doesn't sound like they were that into it with him joining the Bullet Club and the whole deal. But for me, I was like, yeah, why not? You got to do something to shake some shit up. I mean, wrestling is so stale right now, and maybe they can be the one promotion to really kind of get the wheels turning, because over there they're not dumb over there. There's not half the population that thinks an inconvenience equals oppression. They're all doing the right thing. They're all wearing their masks. There were 3,000 people in that arena, and all of them were wearing masks. So, they might be kind of taking the lead on, okay, idiots, here's how you do it. If you want to start having big gatherings and shit, just kind of follow our lead or whatever. And it was nice just to see people in an arena. So I kind of thought all that was cool. I guess I admired the courage of the move and to make a move that bold. And we'll see where it goes. But a lot of people were not happy about that. We talked about Tammy Sitch earlier on in the podcast as well. She was arrested for the 1144th time today, and I hope they lock her up. Throw away the key. What other wrestling news did I miss? I actually didn't even read into the wrestling news today because I was doing other stuff. I don't think there was anything that major. I didn't see any of the UFC 251 card the other night. There is some word that they did bring in 1 million buys, which is kind of a lot, isn't it? Yikes. All right, where'd we go? Is K-Dog's Kennel, are you the next one? Or did I get that one already? Yeah, I got that one from you. I got that one from Deshaun. Marcus, there we go. There's a new one. Nope, I got that one too. Sorry. There's the new ones. I was lost. I got lost in my own chat. It happens. All right, who's up next? There's Victor Colomb. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for the $2. Isn't on Saturday Impact's pay-per-view? It might be. I didn't know that. Which one is it? Is it Slammiversary? They got a bunch of stuff kind of teased for that. What's the story with Dre, Dungeon of Doom? Maybe one day. Yours is coming Thursday. What's the story with EC3's contract? Would love to see him show up. I know Gallows and Anderson have officially signed. I think it would be cool to see Heath Slater show up there too. We'll see whatever they got going on. I still don't follow, man. These days, I should maybe keep an eye on Impact, but I never do. It feels like if they were ever tolerable, probably now's one of the times that they are. Daniel Rodriguez, appreciate the $2 as well. California lockdown against no gym, no haircuts. I'm still on ED. On EDD. Yeah, no gyms, no haircuts, that kind of thing. Everybody's going to have those big bushy afros again. Luckily, I don't have that problem, but then that's probably all over the country. You know, some places are allowed to reopen and then they close again. So you can get a haircut for a little while, but then they might close again. So maybe if you ever wanted to experiment and say, hey, maybe not shave your head, but maybe just get a buzz cut or a crew cut or something, maybe now's the time just to do it and gives you some extra time for your hair to grow in case we get another shutdown or something. Just something to think about. Might be a good time to experiment. Joshua Aparicio, good to see you as well, man. Appreciate the $2. Just finished the Jordan documentary. How was Raw? Which one? The big one that they just did on the Bulls, the 5-part deal? That was good. Raw was not as great as I thought, but it was still newsworthy. Shayna Baszler is back. Bianca Belair is back. Big Show and Randy Orton set for next week. Non-sanctioned match. The Kabuki Warriors failed in their attempt to win the tag team titles from Sasha and Bayley. So there were things to talk about, but overall the show had a kind of a boring feel, and I thought I was almost like waiting for it to pick up. I thought the show was going to be like Greg the Hammer Valentine, where it was going to take, half the match to get cooking and to really get warmed up, and it felt like it had a slow kind of stally start, but it never really picked up for me. It had its moments here or there, but in the end it just kind of felt like most Raws have been feeling in the past couple of weeks, and that's a shame because I was really hoping for a little bit more excitement tonight. I had high hopes from the minute I woke up today. I'm like, today might be a good day. We got some good matches announced for Raw. It's my first of 4 videos this week on the channel. I went to the store today and found some Wagyu beef at the meat counter at Ralph's. I can't wait to cook that ribeye later. I was like, man, I'm going to have a good dinner, a good stream, good wrestling. But Raw did not deliver, unfortunately. And so far, our stream is not delivering either because we got nobody in here watching, and it's just a shame. What is going on in the world? Scott Moss, appreciate it, man. Thank you for the $5. What are the chances 2021 WrestleMania will have a live audience? I live in Texas, and COVID is a mess. Keep it up. Your channel keeps me sane. Well, thank you for that, Scott. I appreciate it. Don't I have a video coming for you, too? You're Wrestle War. Scott is going to be the sponsor for the Wrestle War review coming up in July here. I'm keeping my eye on 2020. I've got a big interest in that because I'm supposed to go to WrestleMania this year. And if things don't get better, we might not have a live audience. And I really just want to know. I don't want to have it like up in the air. I don't want to get into February and not know if it's happening. You know what I mean? Because I've just got too much going on. And I think if it gets near the end of the year and it's not looking good, we're probably going to have to just concede WrestleMania because I've got another trip. I got a Hawaii trip that's actually overlapping WrestleMania, and I'm going to Hawaii like a day late or a day or two late getting there because of WrestleMania. And if WrestleMania doesn't happen, then I don't need to go a day or two late. So that sort of thing. So I got to keep my eye on it. And for the last 3 years, I've been eyeballing 2021 as the year I'm going to WrestleMania. And look, I've purposely not gone to other WrestleManias because I knew they were coming here. And now I might not go again. My God. But it just depends, man. Based on what we've seen with the COVID numbers and everything, I don't see how we're going to be back to normal by then. It just does not seem to be getting better at all. It seems to be getting worse. But it's only July. Maybe by the time we get to October, November, and we get into the holiday season, maybe we got a better grasp on this thing, and maybe we can start looking towards 2021 as like a new beginning kind of thing. But, you know, to me, it feels like January is even optimistic just based on the way everything's going. When it started, we were like, oh, we should be able to reopen everything by May 1st. And we kind of did, but we weren't ready. And, you know, it's just a long process. It's a long process to, you know, really hammer this thing into the ground and get testing and get vaccines and all that. It's a process, and it takes months and years, and who knows? It sucks either way. Luckily, we got YouTube. We can hang out with each other and make it work. Marcus Metcalf, I appreciate the $5 as well. I remember tweeting you about Sunny as a dark side of the ring topic, and you were saying her story isn't over yet. Well, you were right, exactly. Like, she couldn't be a dark side of the ring yet because the darkest days are still ahead of her. And now she's back in jail, and you know, she's just got to stay there, because at what point is she just going to hit rock bottom? At what point is she going to turn up dead like they all do? I don't have any respect for Sunny personally, but I certainly don't want anything bad to happen to her. I don't want her to die. I don't want her to overdose. I don't want her to commit suicide. And based on all of the problems that she's having, she is clearly not in a good mental place. She hasn't been in a good mental place in about 25 years or more. I mean, hell, by 1995, she was probably still all right after Smoky Mountain, coming into WWE. But literally from about 96 on, her life has been an absolute dumpster fire. And it's never been good. She's never once gotten it together. She looked pretty good at the Hall of Fame. She looked like sane and of sound mind and body, but almost like immediately after that, it was like right back to the same old story with her. So, I mean, at what point do you just keep her in jail for so many years that it, you know, just cleans her up? You know, because now if she's just in jail for 9 months or something like that, as soon as she gets out, she'll go right back to her old ways. Just the way it goes. It's a cycle. It's a shame. Such a shame what happened to her. She could have stayed in WWE this whole time as an ambassador, as really, you know, she was like the first diva. You know, how popular and how hot she was in 96 and 97 and all those downloads she got on the internet. I mean, she was like the hottest thing in the world. And she could have ridden that and made money off that forever. You know, but instead she's gross and sells her pictures on OnlyFans and is gross. It's just a shame. I know I need a haircut. I'm a mess over here. Yeah, I saw the Cody Rhodes and Sunny quick kiss tweet, and I saw whatever that asshole was that said something. I almost laughed because, I mean, my God, did that guy get ripped apart. And his Twitter got suspended for it. And that's good. So fun. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's funny because it's infuriating, but it's almost like it's laughable how ridiculously stupid people are in this world, especially here. You know, just my God, just to say something like that and to have those judgments on people based on such hate and ignorance is just one of those. It's facepalm, you know, and then to tweet that out to the masses and get attention from Cody Rhodes and all sorts of other people in the business, saying that you are literally a piece of human garbage. And for some reason, you're proud of that. You're proud to tweet these things. And you're happy to be called a piece of garbage by the entire world. You somehow have... that makes you happy? It's insane. I just cannot believe the hate and the massive amounts of morons that are out there. But the match is going to be interesting on Dynamite. It's for the title, right? Sunny Kiss and Cody. It will be for the title because Cody's defending it every week. He'll win. You know, but it's an interesting match, and I was happy to see Cody and everybody else come to the defense of Sunny Kiss. He goes through enough shit from enough bigots and homophobes, I'm sure, every day of his life. And social media just makes it worse because people get to hide. People get to hide behind a fake avatar and tweet these things where they wouldn't do that in person. I don't know, Mike. I don't know if Sunny is really that recognizable, because I can imagine, you know how Sunny is, too. I can almost picture her in jail talking to the other female inmates, saying, oh, my God, my Twitter is probably exploding. Everybody probably thinks I'm just this fuck up. And they're like, what do you mean? Do you have a big following? Oh, yeah. I used to be the most downloaded girl in 1996. I used to be in WWE. I'm a big legend. I'm a Hall of Famer. And she's probably just going on and on about her life that was great 25 years ago. She's awful. Yeah, they've all. I mean, but that's the thing. As much as she's recognizable in the wrestling community, I just don't think that people who aren't wrestling fans, if they saw her, I don't think they would recognize her. They probably didn't know who Sunny was back in '96, and they certainly wouldn't recognize her now. She looks much different, but she exactly, Marcus. She will not stay off the road. She might. I don't even think I saw nothing about drunk driving or anything like that. I don't think she was drunk behind the wheel. I don't even think she was on drugs behind the wheel. But the fact that she's getting behind the wheel anyway when she's not supposed to, and still getting pulled over, so she must have been doing something wrong to get pulled over, speeding, swerving. Seems like if you're driving around illegally, you'd mind your P's and Q's on the road, right? Try not to draw any attention to yourself. So, at what point does this just cross the line and just be stupidity? And that's all it really is. I don't have any sympathy for her at all. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you, man. Of course I'm doing well. We're always doing well here on the channel. Happy you're here, man. And good to see you as well, Mick. I'm sorry, Nick. Mick. Nick Foley. Oh yeah, the world is scary, all right. Oh, man. All right. Let me go back over here. I've got a couple of other notes written down that I wanted to mention because there was something about Charlotte that I thought we would mention. She had put out a statement on Twitter kind of shedding some light on her absence and everything right now. By the way, today is the 5-year anniversary. 2015 was when Becky and Sasha and Charlotte, I think, all showed up on the main roster. And Bayley too? Or did Bayley wait? I forgot. But they all came out in that big segment with Paige and the Bellas and Stephanie McMahon. So that is the anniversary of that. And man, how far we've come, because I watched a little clip of that today. Watching Becky Lynch come out there with all that energy, and even Charlotte coming out. She looked a little different back then, had a little more like athletic type of look to her, and she was really right off the heels of that great NXT run, and then she came in there and dominated right from the word go and put down Nikki Bella. And then in less than a year, the following year at WrestleMania, they finally ditched that horrible Divas title and made it the Women's Championship. And it actually feels a little bit longer than 4.5 years, but I guess it hasn't been. But yeah, pretty significant day. But Charlotte had revealed that she had some silicone poisoning a couple of different times. And she had already missed time once before, had some surgery to correct it, and one of the reasons why she's taking time off now is because she got sick again. She's claiming it's not silicone poisoning this time, but the recovery plan for her is going to be longer than it was. The first time she got sick, she chose the path that would get her back in the ring the quickest, which apparently was a mistake, and she's been dealing with some issues, and now she's going to take the time to actually get everything fixed up right. And she'll come back refreshed and recharged and, clear mentally and all of that. And that's her plan. And she said she was going to, she said her boob story, she goes, the story of my boobs is a whole nother story that I will share with you guys at another time. So lucky us, we get to hear the history of Charlotte's boobs. But the story that she had released the other day was basically just on her current health problems and to kind of clue the fans in as to why she is taking time off. So we wish her the best here. We always have Charlotte's back on this channel. So she'll be missed, but at the same time, it's going to be good for her to do this, and it's going to be good for the fans who honestly sometimes need a break from certain wrestlers, especially when they're used so much and winning so much. So, you got Charlotte and Roman, the only two wrestlers for a while there WWE seemed to even care about or acknowledge existed. They're both on the shelf right now, and that's a lot of star power missing. But best of luck to Charlotte. It'll give the other ladies a chance to, really run with the ball. Hopefully Asuka can stay on top. Shayna can get a run. Sasha and Bayley can keep doing their thing, and Charlotte isn't there to ruin it or bury anybody's pushes. So in the long run, it might work out well, and by the time we see Charlotte again next year in 2021, maybe we'll be happy to see her. I know I will be. I've never really had an issue with Charlotte, so hopefully by then, maybe the fans won't completely hate the sight of her, and especially the fact that she's dealt with some health issues that does not sound pleasant, especially with some of the sicknesses that she was having and stuff, and having to deal with that and being on the road and wrestle. I'm sure it wasn't comfortable, so best of luck, Charlotte. We love you. No. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta text my buddy, my friend that I went to high school with. He lives here in San Diego, and he's in the Navy. I don't think he was on that ship that that exploded yesterday, because I've never heard him talk about him being on any of the ships that are docked here or stationed here. He usually, when he's on a ship, he's usually at sea or he works from home. So I should have checked in with him. But yeah, there's a big explosion on one of the Navy ships downtown the other day, or yesterday, here in San Diego. And no, it wasn't me. I would never do that. Luckily, nobody died, but some people were injured and hospitalized, I believe. K-Dog, I don't think Roman is injured. I don't know if WWE's pissed at him or not for bailing, and if I was Roman, I don't give a shit if they were. I don't care. They might have been upset that he bailed on WrestleMania 36, but he had every right to do that. And I think most fans, even the fans that don't like him, I think they'll choose their hatred for WWE almost over their hatred for him, so they'll probably have his back on that, because the hell with WWE, man. Couple of bouts of leukemia, new twins at home. I'm not taking any chances. Especially somebody in Roman's capacity. What are they going to do? Fire him? No. So he's fine. He's safe. And I hope he just kind of stays gone until it's safe to come back. He might take a year off. It might be a year before we see him back again because of all this. Because if anything, the risk is greater now than it would have been at WrestleMania, because the numbers just keep rising. This thing is spreading like crazy. So if he were to come back 2 months from now, that risk coming to Florida and working Performance Center shows is greater than if he would have just stayed and got Mania out of the way. You know what I mean? So I don't think, Roman comes back until he feels it's safe, unless WWE leans on him a little bit and, says, come on, we need you back, and can you do us a favor? Maybe the kids get a few months older and he feels more comfortable leaving home a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. No rush, Roman, though. I'm in no rush to see him back, and I don't want him to do anything unsafe. I haven't heard of too many more COVID tests other than some backstage people. Maybe when the next, because I know tonight's Raw, I believe, was taped, so when the next tapings happen, or maybe they did that today. I had it written down. But whenever the next set of testing happens, we might get some more. Just throw the whole state of Florida away. Yeah. Well, in due time, it will be washed away. At least Miami will. But yeah, it's a shame what's going on down there. What a mess they are. I haven't heard the latest on Velveteen Dream. I actually don't know. You guys can fill me in on that. I haven't heard any latest on that. Feels like it's just like a lay-low situation. WWE's probably not going to bring up his name. Maybe they're waiting and seeing. It felt like we heard some rumblings that he was likely going to get the axe, and we were going to be ready to hear that news at any time. We never heard it. So maybe WWE's just letting things blow over or just kind of go away a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I had no idea that about Renee Young. She's already COVID-free. Good for her. Look at that. Shook it right off. Yeah, we get Ambrose, or we get Moxley and Cage this Wednesday for the title. And, of course, last week when Taz brought back the FTW title, I think Moxley's going to retain, and then Cage is going to carry around that belt and claim he's the champion or something. And much like the $1 million belt, it'll be a belt that's occasionally defended, sometimes, I guess. I missed, that's something I wanted to ask you guys, because I missed what was said tonight on Raw. When Owens came out and confronted Rollins, he pulled out an eye patch, and I missed what he said. I heard him say something about a pirate, but I thought he said something like, I got this from one of your old friends or something. I thought maybe it was a reference to Moxley wearing the eye patch in AEW, but I missed it. He might not have said anything about that at all. I was all the way in the other room, and I was like, did he say something about, or did he reference maybe Seth's past relationship with Ambrose? I wasn't sure. If anybody caught that, let me know. No, K-Dogs. I say Brian Cage does not go over. I don't think he does. Just can't see it happening. I wouldn't do it. I mean, right now, he's a guy. He's a heel. Taz is a great heel mouthpiece and everything, but when wrestling's already kind of suffering right now as it is, as well as AEW is doing, they're still doing a lot of things right. They're still putting on entertaining shows. I thought Fyter Fest, despite them losing in the ratings, was a really good show, and I thought Night 2 was better than Great American Bash Night 2. Despite all the good, they've still lost a ton of momentum. Like, this COVID killed them because they were hot. They were on fire. Those shows were good. They're back. I want to go back to the days of arguing about how many fans were in the arena. Oh, look, they're only drawing 2,000 fans. What I wouldn't give to have 2,000 fans in an arena right now watching wrestling. But the crowds were mostly hot. They were never dead like they were on Monday Night Raw. The AEW crowd is usually there, usually ready to rock and roll, usually ready to have a good time. And Dynamites were Dynamite. They were awesome. And then COVID hit, and the momentum that AEW was building really got stalled, and it just sucks. We cannot, as wrestling fans, we cannot catch a break. We have never, in the history of pro wrestling, been more desperate for competition than we are right now in modern times. And then we get it, COVID hits, and potentially stunts the growth of this new company. And who knows, by the time COVID gets figured out, how much force AEW even has left by that point. It sucks, man. It just sucks. Yeah. Pierre's eye patch is legit. He still wrestles with it, I think. He's blind in that eye. Oh, okay. Thank you, Ronnie. He mentioned Pierre for that. Yeah, he was still working up until the COVID stuff, right? He was still working in the Indies, I think, up there in the Northeast. He's awesome. Such a stud. Okay, I missed all of that. Just once Owens came out there, that I kind of walked away because I knew he was going to talk shit. Nothing was going to be like revealed or anything. But I'm like, what did he say about that eye patch? I was trying to catch it. Search something. Yep, that's all I got on that. I was checking out the other notes that I have. There was nothing really else to talk about other than the Sunny stuff, the Charlotte stuff. We've got a big title or Intercontinental title match coming up on Friday with AJ Styles and Matt Riddle, but we talked about that on Saturday, that I'm not expecting AJ to drop the belt to Riddle. I think since he already beat Styles will get the win back. Corbin will interfere. Riddle and Corbin will then set up their, hopefully, small program. Yeah, no more COVID stuff either. I was kind of looking into that as well. In terms of WWE. Man, I wouldn't even be, Pierre's PCO. He's Carl Roulette from Ring of Honor. But we were talking about him not long ago. I just love to see him like just randomly turn up in an AEW or something. I think it would be a lot of fun. And he was having some crazy matches at his age. Man, I mean, hardcore matches too. Doing some of the best work ever. When he was in WWE, I mean, he had the run in the Quebecers there, but that pirate gimmick that he had was, God, it was awful. I remember being so frustrated in 95 when he was feuding with Bret Hart. And I'm like, really? This is what they got Bret doing? Working with this guy? I was so annoyed because this, like, Bret was like being treated almost like Undertaker in a way where he was just given random feuds just to keep him away from the title. Give him something to do just to keep him away from the title. That's why Taker was always in there with Bundy or Gonzalez or guys like that. And it felt like in 95, that's all they were doing with Bret. You know, he finished up his feud at WrestleMania with Backlund. Then he went into the Lawler stuff that was like 2 or 3 pay-per-views long, where he wrestled him and lost, and then he had the kiss my ass or foot match. Then he had to face Yankum at SummerSlam, and then he's facing Pierre. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then finally, our Lord and Savior, Gorilla Monsoon, comes to the rescue, and 1 week on TV just randomly announces that Bret Hart will face the WWE champion at Survivor Series. And I was like, finally, back to reality, because they weren't making any sense. I remember Pierre stole Bret's jacket or something, and that was like the whole match was about that, about the jacket. And I'm like, really? We're wrestling for a jacket? I'll buy you a new jacket, Bret, if you'll just wrestle someone for the title. I'd rather see that. Yeah, and Hakushi was good. That was where the whole thing kicked off. That Hakushi match at that In Your House, the first one was good, and Bret did double duty that night and lost to Lawler after that, which kicked off the whole thing. Hakushi was one of those guys because they brought in a lot of randoms in 95 and 96 there. He was one of my favorites of all the ones that they brought in. Because after that, it was, I mean, they brought in like Tom Brandi and Tracy Smothers and Dirty White Boy, and Anvil came back in a couple of times. Who else did they have there? Irwin, the Goon. All those guys came in at once. I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing? I'll never forget, I was up in, it was the same summer that I went to that Joe Louis Arena house show, and I got backstage and everything, and I was up on summer vacation. We had drove up to Michigan, and I remember being like in the basement of my aunt and uncle's house, and I had turned on, I knew that like Superstars was on, and I turned it on, and I saw who? It was Jim Neidhart in the yellow, and he had the mask on, and his name was Who. And I'm like, I just remember like, that's Jim Neidhart. You can tell by that belly on him. And I was like, that is Jim Neidhart, and what are they doing? I remember just being like, God. Ugh. Things might be bad now, but let's be happy. I'm still happy it's not summer of 96 bad. Some of that was getting rough. Brad Radford was the best. I remember he was like a body Donna in training. Good old Louis Spicoli, man. Another one dead way too soon. I think he passed in, I don't know, maybe 99. He's been dead 21 years, man. And he had potential too. Spicoli was awesome. Chris, good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate the $5. What is your favorite Bret Hart WWF title defense? Mine is, I just talked about this match the other day. Mine is Raw match versus 1-2-3 Kid, or the 95 In Your House Bulldog match. Yeah, title defense. That's a good question. That's a whole different story than a title match or a title win. I'm going to go Bulldog at In Your House, but 1-2-3 Kid would be a second favorite. I still think the 1-2-3 Kid match on Raw in 94 might be like my favorite Raw match just because of my memories of it. And this is what a crazy, and I put this on Twitter when it was like the anniversary of that match or something, and I had mentioned something about it, but I remember watching that night, and back then I would tape all the Raws on VHS, and I remember watching the show, but being like legitimately concerned that Bret could lose the belt. I don't know why, 1-2-3 Kid, just doesn't make sense for him to win the title, but the fact that Bret was putting the belt on the line on Raw, there was like a small sliver of me that thought he could lose the title. And then when the match got as competitive as it was, and the 1-2-3 Kid started mounting a lot of offense, I remember a couple times when he had Bret down for the pin, I was so freaked out that I changed the channel. Like, I did not want to watch the 3 count. I'm like, if Bret loses the belt, I don't want to watch it. And every time I switched back, the match would still be going on. And then in the end, Bret locked in the sharpshooter and beat him. But I was worried there for a minute. That was an awesome match. But yeah, when it comes to title defenses, yeah, you're right. I got to go Bulldog. It's hard to top that match from a title defense perspective. And then you could also say like successful title defense, because technically the Iron Man match was a title defense and he lost that. But any match that he successfully retained, yeah, Bulldog. The Razor match wasn't bad at Rumble 93. The Shawn match in Survivor Series of 92 wasn't bad either. That was good. But neither one I don't think were as good as the Bulldog match. Oh, what's up, How Weezy? It's been a long day. Got to get up early. Just want to say hello. Oh, man, so you had a long day and you got to get up again. Well, I'm glad you at least popped in to wave and say hi to us, man. We haven't been talking about much, just shooting the shit. We got nobody in here. Can you guys help me out with the likes? My God, I feel like I just started on YouTube yesterday. Yeah, I'm not proud of these numbers right now. This is ugly, ugly, ugly stuff. But thanks for being here, How Weezy, and supporting. Get some good sleep tonight, and good luck tomorrow. And I was mentioning everybody my schedule. I'll be up here on Thursday. We're going to do a live stream on the old territory days and some of my memories of that. So that's on the menu for Thursday night. So keep a lookout, and we'll see you then, man. Yeah, the Vader stuff, you know, everything we saw with Sid and Shawn at Survivor Series, it was supposed to be Vader. That whole thing was supposed to be Vader. I think it would have been good with Vader. I think it would have worked either way. I mean, in a way, I can almost understand Sid being put in that position, because even if plans hadn't changed, Sid just looks more like a Vince guy. I mean, he's just so big and bad, and the belt looked really good on him, I thought, and I had no issue with Sid winning the title. I liked it. But if it would have been Vader, I think it would have worked maybe equally well, you know, especially if Vader would have stayed strong and kept mowing down guys, you know, in September and October there, going into Survivor Series to beat Shawn, and then losing it back to him at the Rumble. That would have been a hell of a program, man. You have title matches at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and Rumble. 3 of the big 5 you're wrestling in a row for the title. That's a big deal. Would have been good. Oh, you have. You've taken the time to time it. Oh, man, that Backlund run in 93 was one of my favorites, primarily because of the commentary. And Backlund is still in there. Gorilla just made that for Backlund. But you said you're so tired of hearing Ray had the record for the longest time when, in fact, Backlund was in the Rumble for an hour and 3 minutes. I didn't think Backlund was in for an hour and 3 minutes. Is that how long he was there? And Ray was number 1. What was it 2 minutes in the year that he won it? That would have been, what, 06? Was it a 2-minute interval? Or was it a minute and a half back then? I don't even know. Well, you've timed it, so you would know. I believe you. I'm not going to question K-Dog's kennel. No siree. All right, what else? Oh, yeah, Mike Maxson. I'd do anything to go back to 1997 and watch that feud again. Can you get arrested for beating up the elderly? Heenan was great. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, Heenan, I think you can. They would talk about, like, telling the kids to be careful at home, and Gorilla would say, like, you know, kids, you know, don't try these moves in your backyard or anything. And then Heenan would go, yeah, try them in your living room. It's more fun. Which he could not have gotten away with later, especially with some of the accidents that's happened with that stuff. Yeah, I forgot what number Backlund even came in. Yeah, I guess he was number 2. And he did make it to the end. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, well, that explains it. If it was a shorter interval, if it was 90 seconds in 06, then yeah, Backlund definitely has the record. But WWE, they like to rewrite their own history there, you know, especially with guys like coming in first and coming in number 1 and stuff like that and making it all the way till the end. That's what they do. Is make up their own shit. And I remember specifically when it comes to Royal Rumbles in 95, the roster was so weak. They made the weirdest mistake, I think, in 1995. Not only did they already have like a really weak roster to begin with, for some reason that year, different from other years, they decided that everybody that had a match before the Royal Rumble would not be in the Rumble, when it was like the weakest field ever. And you're trying to put over Shawn, and he's in there beating Well Done and Mantar and stuff. And I'm like, you got guys like Bam Bam Bigelow, Tatanka, The Undertaker, who else? I mean, even Razor and Jarrett, sort of. You know, anybody that had a match prior to that, they weren't in the Rumble, and they could have really used them. Some of those names needed to be in there. Bob Holly and 1-2-3 Kid and shit like that. So you only had a few contenders in there. It was Shawn. Luger was in the Rumble. Owen and Backlund, maybe you can consider potential winners, and Bulldog. And Mabel, maybe? Was it Mabel and Bundy? I think were also in there. But still, you could have had Undertaker. You could have had IRS. You could have had Bam Bam. You could have had Undertaker. If you had all those guys in the Rumble, and back in those days, WWE, I don't think, wanted to put Undertaker in the Rumble because they didn't want to eliminate him from them if he didn't plan to win it. So I just think that was so done because they had that weak roster, and because the field of 30 was so weak, they did 1 minute intervals. That was the point I was trying to make here. And that Royal Rumble went so fast. Shawn Michaels came in at number 1, but he's not anywhere close to the record of the longest time in the Rumble because of how short the time he spent in there. So it was a good finish to the Rumble. Still a classic ending to one of the Royal Rumbles, but weak, really weak, man. You go back and look at some of the names that were in there. None of those guys are going to win. They were even bringing in random guys just for the night. I remember Crush showed up in that Rumble, and he had already kind of been gone from the company, so it was just pointless. And yeah, Dickie Murdoch was in the Royal Rumble as well. So yeah, having them come in at 1 minute each was the right call, because if you had to wait 2 minutes in between these boring entrants, would have been one of the worst Royal Rumbles of all time. And it could have been better. I don't know why they did that. I have no idea why they did that. Yeah, some of those matches did go long. Yeah, I think that was done by design. I think the matches went longer because the Rumble was shorter. It's not like they went long and then they decided at the last minute to make it a minute. It was done that way on purpose because they knew the Rumble wasn't going to be strong with all the other matches. They had that big title match, that tag team title match, and then the aftermath with Bam Bam and LT, setting that whole thing up. You had the IC title match with a title change there. You had Brett and Diesel that went really long. So yeah, with all of those matches, it didn't really leave you with a whole lot left at the Royal Rumble. So they couldn't have a long match anyway. Oh yeah, that's right. Like Mo and Bushwhacker Luke did not last long, a second each or something like that. Yeah, not good times, man. I thought, oh man, did I have that wrong, Victor? I thought it was Ray, not number 1. It was just HBK and Chris Benoit. I knew Benoit was 1. I thought Ray might have been number 1 in the Rumble. I could be wrong. I don't remember. But yeah, Shawn was the first. Just checking something out here. Pardon me. There we go. I'm back. Oh, yeah, there. Thank you. Yeah, those are some of the names I was trying to think of. Aldo Montoya, Mantar, Friar Ferguson. I don't think Friar Ferguson was in there. And I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure if Mantar was either. Mantar might not have been in the Rumble. But it was a lot of people like Aldo Montoya. It was both members of, like, Well Done. Just random, just shitty people that just had no business being in there and weren't going to win. Just a waste of time. Oh, Ray was 2. Thank you for that. Okay. Triple H was number 1? See, I don't even remember that. I don't think I've watched the 2006 Royal Rumble since 2006 Royal Rumble. So I should go back and watch that and take a look. Oh, now you're saying Orton was 1? I don't know. Y'all need to get together on this and let me know the truth. Oh, wow. I guess I came out in Eddie's Lowrider. I should watch 2006. I should watch that one. What else happened at that Royal Rumble? John Cena had a title match, I'm sure, right? Or that was probably with Edge. Yeah, that whole thing was going on. So he'd be champ going in against Triple H. Yeah, how'd Triple H get the title shot after that? Help me with my history. How the hell is 2006 14 years ago? And that blows my mind. 2006, I think, was it 2005 or 2006? I think it was 2005. It was 2005. That was the year that I bought my first, like, the newer version of, like, the HD TVs. You know, when they got lighter, you'd get the projection TVs, and they would be in HD, which back then was only 720p. And I remember I bought this Sony projection TV, which the one I had previously was one of those big screens on wheels that weighed 9.5 tons. So now that these things were lighter, I bought one. But I remember I paid like $1,800 for that TV. A TV that now would cost $300 maybe, you know, for the type of quality that it was. You know, now you can have a 55 or 60-inch TV for a third of that price if you shop a little bit. I cannot believe the money I flushed down the toilet back then for that damn thing. But it was high tech, man. I do too. Somebody, and who mentioned it earlier, and thanks for that, Barry, for the $2 off topic, but I just really like Bayley. It's not off topic, it's wrestling. That's right on. I didn't notice anything different with her hair cut tonight, but somebody had said that she had her hair done or something. I didn't even notice. Was there something different about it? I know Sasha had the headband and was doing that, but I didn't notice really anything different about Bayley tonight, unless I wasn't paying attention. She's great. I mean, at first, it felt like it took a while to really get into the heel run. I knew she'd be a pretty good heel because she was such a ridiculous babyface that it would be fun to see her try her hand at a heel. And maybe at first it didn't stick with a lot of us. I still liked it, but I don't like it the way I like it now. Now I feel like she's really kind of grown and evolved in that role, and I think she really gets off on kind of being obnoxious and being the asshole and being and screaming and yelling and doing all these dastardly things. And whenever she sits on commentary with Sasha, they steal the show. They steal the show every time. So Bayley is one of my absolute favorites right now. Bayley and Sasha are, I mean, they're 100 times more entertaining when they were together the first time, when they dropped the belts at WrestleMania to the Iconics and that whole deal. Everybody likes Sasha and Bayley, I think, individually as wrestlers, but, you know, as a team, they were just Sasha and Bayley, and they were just baby faces and good guys, and they didn't offer anything. You know, now they have a clear identity in who they are and stuff, and I love it, man. I love it. Trey, was that at the Royal Rumble? Angle and Taker? Oh, Shane eliminated Shawn. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Kurt Angle beat Mark Henry in the main event. Mark would go on to take on Taker in the casket match, right? Cena and Edge was second to last. Rumble was in the middle. Interesting. Wow, it's been so long. The last match I saw of that was Cena and Edge a couple of weeks back, or a couple months ago now. I did an Edge live stream, Patreon live stream, and I had to watch a lot of his title wins, and I watched that match. A lot of his title matches, and I watched the Royal Rumble one because he dropped it to Cena. But I had no idea the order of the matches there. Yeah, WrestleMania 22 was not one of my favorite WrestleManias. I liked it a little bit. You know, Bret Hart went into the Hall of Fame that year. A lot of it was centered around Eddie Guerrero as well, with Ray winning the title. You know, I liked the setup, you know, in Chicago at the arena there, but, you know, to me, I was really missing the big arenas, and they would finally go back to the big stadiums the next year in Detroit. But yeah, probably not one of my favorite ones. 21 was much better in my mind. Oh, No Way Out 2006. Yeah, I got to go back and refresh my memory because it's been a long time. Man, there is nothing stopping us from a Repo Man appearance on Raw. It'd be so cool if they could get Darso in there. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up tonight since I think I officially had the worst performing Monday Night Raw review live stream in history. I have never done this low of views. We've been close. A couple of weeks there, we had some shitty weeks, but nothing like this. This is really awful and a little bit alarming, to be honest with you. So I don't know what YouTube's problem is. Sometimes we do 100,000 fucking people in here, and then every now and then we just do 100, and we're having one of these weeks. But we'll see how the rest of the week goes. You got a lot of me this week. Like I said, I'll be up here on Thursday night to talk about the old territory days. We'll have some fun. I'll crack open a couple of Stellas and talk about some of my memories from when I was a kid and stuff, and anything I can try to remember from that time. And some of the more interesting matches and situations from back in the day. And then I'll be up here on Saturday and Sunday with Extreme Rules predictions and an Extreme Rules live reaction. And hopefully we'll close out the week a lot better than this because this is fucking awful. Hole-in-One Darso, he was the best, man. Loved watching him on WCW Pro or Saturday night. He'd come out there with his little putting green and his goofy little hat. Great stuff. He always reminded me of the guy that, even though they didn't look alike as it was an old man, but have you ever seen the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, and he just goes through the streets of L.A. on this like rampage and nervous breakdown, and some old golfer wearing an idiotic outfit gives him shit, and he winds up giving him a heart attack, and he goes, "Now you're going to die wearing that silly little hat." I don't know. That always reminded me of it whenever I saw Hole-in-One Darso. Was that his name, or was it something else? Was it really Hole-in-One Darso, or was it something else Darso? I don't remember. That guy had a revolving door of gimmicks. He's up there. That would be a fun live stream. That would actually be a fun topic to talk about people in wrestling who have had like more than 4 gimmicks or something, like just one after another. That could be fun to talk about, actually. I'd be into that. That's true, Clyde. At least you're here. You guys are always here. You are here hanging out with me. Y'all keep me sane, that's for sure. Give me something to do on a boring night. Huh, yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I guess it was called that. I can see the graphic, like I can see the lower thirds there and everything, but I can't picture what the words actually say. I think it was Hole-in-One Darso. Very similar to Kerwin White. It was. That would have been a good tag team, Kerwin White and Darso. Man. Yeah, Beefcake. Beefcake's another guy. Beefcake, Booty Man, and Zodiac, and Butcher, and all that stuff, man. Yeah, I think Beefcake, Darso. Oh, man, you can't really count Foley. I'm trying to think of guys that's really been repackaged a lot. Beefcake and Darso have got to have the records there. There might be a couple of others if I think about it, but it's hard to think of anybody to top them. I mean, they had so many. Matt Hardy's had a few. I guess he's had a few. But a lot of those times, though, he's been Matt Hardy. You know, he hasn't undergone a full name change where Darso was Crusher Khrushchev. He was Smash. He was Blacktop Bully. He was Hole-in-One Darso or whatever. So he would go by like a different name overall. Like all of Matt Hardy's gimmick changes, he was still Matt Hardy through most of that, and except for now when he's like Damascus and shit. But still, they acknowledge that he is Matt Hardy. You know, where, you know, when Darso became Repo Man, they weren't like, that's Smash. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like literally they're trying to make it seem like it's a completely different person separate from what they used to be. That's the type of gimmick change I'm trying to think about. I'm trying to think. Tenta? John Tenta? I mean, he was Earthquake. He was Avalanche. He was Shark. And he was Golga. That's 4. He could be on the list. It could be a fun stream to do. Do some research on it. Make some notes. We could have some fun one night. So we'll put that on the agenda maybe one day in the future. We'll see. But anyway, I want to sincerely appreciate the loyal, awesome listeners that were in here tonight. I have no idea what's going on with our audience, but you guys are always here, and I will always appreciate that. Just a little bit concerned of where the hell everybody is. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it. And be sure to be back here on Thursday night, 6 p.m. here on the West Coast, 9 p.m. East Coast. And we'll be talking about some territory wrestling. You guys have a good rest of your night. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.